Morning with outrage over the ambush and cold-blooded killings of two New York City police officers. Police say before Ishmael Brinsley shot the officers in Brooklyn Saturday afternoon, he posted on Instagram threatening to retaliate against law enforcement for the chokehold death of Eric Garner. Police have also linked him to another shooting that injured his ex-girlfriend in Baltimore, Maryland, just hours before. Bazi Kanani has more on the man behind the violence.
The last Facebook post from Ishmael Brinsley seemingly foreshadows a violent ending. I always wanted to be known for doing something right, but my past is stalking me and my present is haunting me. Investigators now combing over the 28-year-old's social media accounts to look for what led to his rampage. On a dating website, Brinsley is pictured behind a camera. He calls himself a film director and free thinker. No indication of his criminal record in 3 states, arrested multiple times on theft, assault, and weapons charges.
We're really trying to learn as much as we can, as quickly as we can about this individual.
Police say the New York native was most recently living in Georgia. No details yet on his relationship with the former girlfriend he allegedly shot in her Maryland apartment, but it was her mother who tipped off police that he was posting on Instagram just before that grisly New York ambush. A picture of his pant leg with blood stains, a picture of a handgun, references to Michael Brown and Eric Garner, who died at the hands of police, and this clear threat. They take one of ours, let's take 2 of theirs. Hashtag shoot the police.
Some of the postings, which I understand that are out there, would seem to indicate that he had a very strong bias against police officers.
The Brown and Garner family and several of the organizers of the anti-police brutality protest condemn Brinsley's attack and say they are praying for the officers' families. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Baltimore County, Maryland.
And as police piece together the details of what happened, a number of officers here in our area are speaking out and offering support to the victims' families. Kristen Holmes is live outside the Arlington County Police Department, one of many departments that's been expressing condolences for the officers killed. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning, Rachel. Well, as you mentioned, New York is not the only place reacting to the shocking murder of these 2 officers. Communities around the country are sending their condolences to the NYPD, including here in Arlington. They did issue this tweet that reads, "Deeply saddened to learn of the 2 NYPD line of duty deaths. Our thoughts are with the families and NYPD as they mourn this tragic loss." The last shooting death of an NYPD officer was in December of 2011. This morning, we are learning more about the 2 murdered Officer Win-Jin Liu and Rafael Ramos. Officer Liu, just 32 years old, was a 7-year veteran of the NYPD. He was married just 2 months ago. Officer Ramos was 40 with 2 years on the job. He was a school safety officer before that. He leaves behind a wife and a 13-year-old son, a son who posted on Facebook that yesterday was the worst day of his life. And as was briefly mentioned, the gunman posted anti-police sentiments on his social media, including his Instagram. And the post read, "I'm putting wings on pigs today. They take one of ours, let's take 2 of theirs." Now, the hashtags he used were shoot the police, rest in peace Eric Garner, R.I.P. Michael Brown. Of course, as was mentioned, these are the 2 deaths at the hands of officers where no indictment was served in those deaths. And Michael Brown's family came out this morning and released a statement as well. They condemned the murders, saying violence towards law enforcement cannot be tolerated. Attorney General Eric Holder, who has been traveling around the country working with communities and law enforcement following the protests in both Ferguson and New York, also released the following statement. This cowardly attack underscores the dangers that are routinely faced by those who protect and serve their fellow citizens. As a nation, we must not forget this as we discuss the events of the recent past. These courageous men and women routinely incur tremendous personal risks and place their lives on the line each and every day. In a press conference last night, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio was visibly teary-eyed as he called the murders an attack on all of us. He's asking the city to lower the flags to half-mast from sunrise this morning until the funerals for the officers. The mayor and his wife will be attending Mass this morning with Cardinal Dolan at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Rachel?
All right, a lot of prayers going out to the victims. Kristen, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
as more details continue to unfold in this tragedy in New York, we'll have continuing coverage. Stay tuned to News Channel 8 and News8.net for the latest details. Meanwhile, in Florida early this morning, a police officer there was shot and killed. It happened at an apartment complex outside of Tampa as police were called for a noise complaint. Police did catch up to that suspect and took him into custody. His identity has not been released. Now let's turn